It is not World War III. We are nowhere near World War III. Please get that out of your head. I know a lot of you are very scared because of what's going on in the Middle East, but believe me, this is nothing new. Since 1948, Israel has had a history of being attacked by almost all of the countries around them and some from far away, like Pakistan and North Korea. And every time that's happened, Israel has delivered stunning defeats to all of their attackers. And right now, there is only one actual country that may actually declare war with Israel, and that's Iran, which is a country that actually can't manage a full-scale war. In fact, the only two countries in the Middle East that could pull something like that off would be Israel and Egypt. Fortunately, Israel and Egypt are kind of friendly, and very often they see eye to eye. And remember this very important fact: if Iran was strong enough to directly attack Israel, they would not be using proxies like Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis to do it. In fact, Iran has not been able to fight a full-scale war in 40 years, which was the Iran-Iraq War. And the only reason why Iran was even able to fight that war is that years before, Iran under the Shah was friends with the US, and they were the largest weapons importer in the world. So they had a top-of-the-line weapons arsenal to face Iraq. And Israel was actually helping Iran defeat Iraq, and the US backstabbed Iraq and was actually selling top-of-the-line weaponry again to Iran. So Iran's capacity to launch any kind of real war is mythical at best. Okay, but what about Russia and the Ukraine conflict? Russia has not been able to take Kyiv, and it's been more than 2 years, showing the world that Russia is much weaker than everybody else thought. It was revealed to me when I attended the NATO summit about a month ago that the only reason why Russia has been able to maintain this war is because they heavily rely on imports from China and Iran, now North Korea. And Iran is one of Russia's largest supplier of drones. If Iran actually had to go to full-on war, they would no longer be able to supply Russia with those desperately needed weapons. But you might be thinking, what about China? They have such a large population and a very big economy. Last time that China fought in any kind of conflict was in 1979 against Vietnam, and they lost. Their troops are untested, and their leadership is unsure if they can actually accomplish any kind of coordinated assault. And the greatest fear from Chinese leadership, aside from being able to control their own population, is having a Potemkin army, meaning an army that looks very impressive but actually can't accomplish anything. Then there's the fact that even though China is showing positive GDP growth officially, their economy is actually in decline, as you could see for the sheer fact that their consumer base is going through a deflationary period. So is their production base. You could see this in both the PPI and the CPI readings. One of the main causes of this negative economic downturn for China is the Trump trade wars and Biden further continuing these sanctions against the world's most populous country. Then there's the fact that China's food self-sufficiency has dropped from over 90% 20 years ago to about 69% today. Any kind of direct armed confrontation against Western interests would only increase the sanctions against China and most likely limit their leadership's ability to control the population. And last but not least, the most heavy reason we have for not going into World War III is the fact that NATO exists. This is the longest lasting and most powerful alliance in the history of the world. An attack on one NATO member means a retaliation from all 32. That includes the military might of the United States, Germany, England, France, and 24 more countries. That's why if there's even a hint of a Russian missile over any Eastern European country, the Russian government immediately denies it and says nothing happened and it was a mistake or somebody else did it. My name is the Geo Hussar, and it's going to be okay. Thanks for watching.